fish hatchery, and this is based around a fish hatchery that Heidi's father actually runs in upstate New York, not far from Syracuse.
Oh,
And it is also a project that she has done in her middle school classes, and she also primarily wanted to incorporate the idea of interactive science notebooks. And oh, hang on, she's typing me something. No, I'm not. It's very slow though. Okay, so anyway, I could be like Carol and Sarah. So anyway, the idea of the science notebook is really best understood if you view these slides that are in front of the classroom here. If you're looking at the fish aquarium, the slides on the window wall and the two slides in front of, or the posters rather, in front of the fish tank better explain the interactive science notebook. Think of a science notebook as a way for students to put together various learning activities into one notebook that they follow along with. You know, you have a literacy component, you have some active data that you might be collecting, you may have reports that you need to make, you may have some drawings that you might want to display. And so the idea is that you can collectively put these into a notebook, and the more I learned about the notebooks, the more I realized it really becomes a tool for teachers as well. In this day and age of accountability meaning everything, you know, it's really a way for teachers to follow what their students are understanding or not understanding, or where their learning strengths may lie. And so such as this slide to the left of the fish tank is a component, a literacy component, where the students read through about trout, and particularly the hatchery we're talking about raises Kamloops trout, which is a specific type of steelhead. It's a summer run steelhead. And in this activity, they would read through information about the trout, and then they would summarize it. So, and the slide on the right is a concept map where they would follow the life cycle of the trout. So that's two components of the science notebook. These are physical journals, yes. They could be an online blog. It could be something that could be done in Google Docs, which is something we had hoped to implement into this project, but weren't able to accomplish for various reasons. But yeah, ideally this would be great to use in a Google Docs setting where it could be shared with the whole class. And so, but in any event, we put it on a website, and the poster's on the outside of this pod, and the web address is www.pinevalleyfishhatchery.weebly.com. Now, I used a free internet site called Weebly, which I had used before for just a professional development, site. But in any event, I found some restrictions with the free sites. I originally wanted to download the whole PowerPoint that we had done, which really has all these slides in it. It has all the information about the project. And what I had done was, instead I just put everything in as a JPEG, so it is viewable. And I also put information where I could be contacted to send a downloadable version. Yeah, I probably should have done it in Google Sites, but I had already started it in Weebly, but the reality is Google Sites does allow you more freedom as far as what you're able to download onto the free site, which is great. So, and as we started doing this project, the idea is that the kids can take somewhat of a virtual field trip to a fish hatchery without physically being there, or they could take a trip to the fish hatchery and continue with the learning process beyond it. And what I had done with the website, when I realized as I was developing it, is it really turned into sort of more of a product that teachers could use beyond just this one fish hatchery. I had worked at a fish hatchery in college in Altmar, New York, the Salmon River Fish Hatchery, and I did an internship in a work study program there. And I recently, after doing this project, I talked to the manager there. Well, he's actually a program coordinator. He works for the DEC, and he loved the idea of this project. And he really saw what we were working on as really more of a product that teachers could take to any hatchery. There's a lot of hatcheries around New York State. Some independent, some are run by the state. And this is a project that teachers could take to the hatchery and maybe get involved with, as far as the hatchery manager getting on board with seeing the project through. Because the reality is the fish life cycle is, very long, so the process would take a very long time. But the students could certainly see a good portion of the young development of the trout from fry to yearling within a school year. So it's something, and they certainly get to know the community, and it's something they get to do throughout the whole school year. It's something that they keep checking into. Another thing that's available on the website is a spreadsheet that students can use to collect data on growing fish. They collect things like water temperature and different fish, lengths and weight, and they can put it into this spreadsheet that's all downloadable on the website. And so they could collect data throughout the year. Now, an element I added to the website that I thought might be interesting for those that have not or cannot get to a fish hatchery is exactly what Danielle just said, is bringing trout into the classroom, which it's something I had seen in my local schools in my hometown here. But yeah, if you can find a local hatchery, they can bring a fish tank in and bring some fry into the classroom, and then they'll come in on a weekly basis or 2-week basis and measure the fish and weigh the fish for you. And it's a great way for students to learn how to collect scientific data. They do survive well. It does need to be well oxygenated water, but they do survive, yeah. But another thing I thought of doing for those that maybe that can't happen, is to do a Skype session or like an eyesight session with a hatchery manager, and literally watch. Really, they could watch a lot of things that the workers in these hatcheries do, and for one, the hatchery manager could collect data for them, and they could see the fish. They could see, you know, how exactly they might go about their daily work. And at times when they're taking fish during spawning season, they could see that process as well. Yeah, these trout, Heidi's saying these trout wouldn't survive. These are a specific type of steelhead trout, or steelhead that really need very, very cold water, so they would have a hard time. Yeah, so really the website is more of an outlet for, really, like I said, more of a product that that teachers could use, or ambitious students might want to get involved with. You know, there's a lot of applications that I see that could be taken, or could be added to the website, and could be, you know, a lot of things could involve local colleges, anyone with a fisheries biology department. There's a great one I worked with at ESF, where I actually had done some seining, looking for Atlantic salmon, which we were trying to reintroduce to the salmon river. It's still an ongoing project, although they do now have an established population up there. Yeah, Heidi's saying these are stocking the local ponds. You know, this isn't food consumption. But you can buy, yeah, Danielle said you can't buy those trout here. But anyway, I could see working with local colleges as well, as far as collecting data, or even students at the college coming in and working with the students on interpreting data. Because it's one thing to collect it, it's another to interpret it into meaningful data. You know, there's certainly applications for students to practice their graphing skills and whatnot. So that is pretty much it. I would like to borrow somebody's fish from their other pod to swim around in here, but unfortunately I hadn't quite figured that out yet. So. But that's the best I could do for now. This is really, I wish Heidi was here. This is really her project. She is here, but I wish she could speak to you all, and she could probably interpret the finer aspects of the project a little better. So, but thank you. Any questions?
Eileen, I think this is another good example of something that can be done locally, and that's always useful.
Yeah.
And you'll have the wikis. So please do keep on communicating about this. And Carol might tell you the secret about her fish. I think she did tell you. It's something in her library.
Okay.